Let's go to Arlington. Raider Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Vance Mac, thanks for taking the call. You know, it's got to be a difficult show for you today. Myself, Jim, I haven't been this shaken up making a phone call to you since I first did so almost 3 decades ago. Firstly, you mentioned his just getting started, and I read a tweet from President Obama, and he spoke about this very same thing, how the second act in Kobe's life and how it was going to be so brilliant, and the curtain just coming down on it. And Bill Plaschke said it best. The city of Los Angeles had its heart ripped out yesterday. Godspeed to his family and those of the other victims. But this dude, he was the king of L.A. And Menspec, you and I, we're both the same age. We both grew up in the same area. We've been Laker fans since Game 5 of the 1972 Lakers-Knicks finals that was shown on ABC's Wide World of Sports 100 years ago. As a Laker fan, what I knew of Kobe Bryant, it wasn't this toughness or this Mamba mentality. It's the fact that outside of Michael Jordan, he was the greatest basketball player to ever lace him up. And, people remember, from the mid-'80s to the early '90s, there was this rumble line of young hotshot players who were glossed like, the next Michael or Baby Jordan. But Kobe was the real deal. Those other guys, they buckled under the pressure. Kobe embraced it. And he wasn't as flashy, and he certainly is not as good defensively as Jordan, but he is a mirror image of the guy, and that's his legacy on the court. And Jim, real quick, lost in all this is Jerry West. Back in the summer of '96, all us Laker fans, we knew we were getting Shaq. The problem was, what were we going to do with Vlade Divac? Mr. West saw something in this young teenager that nobody else did. In fact, Kobe was only the second high school player to ever come out after Garnett. And I remember in his rookie season, Jim, there used to be a caller to your show, Jay in L.A. He'd get into these Laker practices, and he'd be raving about this young kid named Kobe Bryant. But, overall, my personal memory, Jim, will always be Kobe walking off the floor in the closing seconds of Game 7 in the 2000 NBA Finals against the Pacers. He's walking off, looking up at the crowd in Staples Center, and he's pointing at his ring finger. That's all I got, Jim.
Thank you, Mike, very much. Raider Mike in Arlington. This is what I want to do today. I want to talk to you, and I want you to share your remembrances, your memories. If you're having a hard time with it, if you're struggling, if you can't really get your head around it, if you can't process it, there's a lot of us like that right now. This is a very difficult day and a difficult show. And again, I think a lot of you might say, come on now. Did you know him? He was an athlete. He was a great athlete. But come on now. If you're hearing these people from Los Angeles, you can feel the deep, deep connection between that person, that athlete, and this city. You might not have been a Kobe fan. You might not have been a Laker fan. I understand why you would not understand that. But just know there are a lot of people listening. And this show is national in scope, but remember, it started off as a regionally based program. And to Mike's point, Mike's like, hey, Jim, you and I are the same age, so you know. It's true. My earliest memories as a sports fan, and why do I do this for a living? Because I realized at a pretty early age I was not going to be a professional athlete, but like a lot of you listening, I was obsessed with sports. I loved sports more than I loved anything. That was my passion. And my earliest memory of being a young sports fan was being a Laker fan. And never mind Mike or Kobe. My guy was Gail Goodrich. I love Gail Goodrich. He was my first idol, my first hero. So I was a Laker fan from day one. So, when I get that question all the time, who are you a fan of? Who's your favorite team? My standard response. My standard response is I do not have a favorite player. I do not have a favorite team. All I root for is something to talk about. Because I've got 3 hours in various platforms and a podcast and a TV simulcast and on and on and on and on. So that's what I root for. But back then, my earliest remembrances as a child, as a kid, as a sports fan, was being a Laker fan. And a Dodger fan, sure. But a Laker fan first. And this is a Laker town. Absolutely.